May 20th to order. I don't have any public in the room. Don't think I have any online.
If you want to, just
That's you, Andrea, right? Andrea on there?
Yep, that's me.
All right. Can look at the meeting minutes of April 8th. Martha?
I would like to propose an amendment to the meeting minutes. I found something I thought was important to include. Is it now the right time, or do we need to motion first? I didn't look, did I look up which page it's on? I'm not sure exactly where, but there was a discussion about the interior design, and it says, Martha Simon asked, can we have a Burlington-focused nature element? The landlocked forest should be considered. Number one, can we correct the spelling? But there was an answer to my question, and it wasn't included in the minutes. So the minutes went on to the second question, and I would like to add, yes, something like yes was what we discussed. And then the next question was about where and when the solar panels would be added, and the minutes do include Neil's response, yes, the solar panels will be added to the roof in the parking lot after the existing school is demolished. So I'd like to include the question that was asked, and I'm pretty sure it was me, but there was a question. You could say, I could send Andrea the wording if people want me to, or I can tell you something exactly now.
So
I'd like to amend the minutes to include those two things.
Is it on the video?
That's what I was going to say. I can just go back and watch the video and just amend
Sure.
it.
Or if you could go back and correct it, that would be great.
No problem.
So I'd like to amend the minutes. I don't know what order you want it in.
Do you want to just move it?
Yeah.
As moved?
I'll make a motion that we'll pass these minutes with the amendments that Martha would like to add. You can second, I guess.
I'll second it, because I think we should see them before we vote on them.
It's just a question, two questions.
And she's going to put in what she sees on the recording.
And it could have
You don't
been
trust her to do that?
someone else asked the question, not necessarily.
You're going to do it by the recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Second.
Okay.
I seconded it already.
Any more comments? All right, Ms. Bond?
Aye.
Ms. Monaco?
Aye.
Mr. Wojcik?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Dr. Conti's online, right?
Yes.
Ms. Kasha?
Yes.
Mr. Kuna?
Yes.
I think I saw Mr. Denizio.
Abstain.
Mr. Rosenblatt said he...
Yes.
Oh, he's right. I got him. Mr. Villano?
Yes.
Ms. Priest?
Abstain.
Okay, I vote yes. 10-02. All right. We have some invoices and commitments. Where's my presentation go? You want to read off the invoice? You approve them all together.
Yeah, if you could do all Danisco's together,
I
as
got
we've
it.
been doing
Thank you.
typically. Nobody has any questions?
Anything for motion?
Yep.
Okay, I move that we approve Danisco invoice number 10199 in the amount of $356,444 for construction documents 2 of 9, as well as Danisco invoice number 10200 in the amount of $4,680.83 for traffic studies. And finally, Danisco invoice number 10201 in the amount of $11,453.75 for the wetlands design development and NOI.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on these? Any hands? No, okay. Mrs. Bond.
Aye.
Ms. Monaco.
Aye.
Mr. Wojcik.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Dr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Kasha.
Yes.
Mr. Kuna.
Yes.
Mr. Denizio.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenblatt,
Yes.
Mr. Valano,
Yes.
Ms. Priest.
Yes.
I'm yes, 1200.
Yep. I make a motion to approve Doran Whittier invoice number 32 in the amount of $59,007.50 for design development.
Second.
Questions on this one? Right, Ms. Bond,
Aye.
Ms. Monaco,
Aye.
Ms. Wojcik,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Aye.
Dr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. Kasha,
Yes.
Mr. Kuna,
Yes.
Mr. Denizio,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenblatt,
Yes.
Mr. Valano,
Yes.
Ms. Priest,
Yes.
and I am a yes, vote 1200. Kristen.
Great,
Just make sure I got everybody. All right, keep moving. We have a project update.
All right. Oh, this is easy.
Do you want to drive? Yeah, this is
Um, How do I, this way? Look at that. All right, yes. I'm just going to give a real quick schedule update. We are in the middle of construction documents. We're working on developing some of the design details a little further, and also looking at colors and patterns so that we can incorporate some of the features into our next construction documents estimate. So in about a month or so, boy, it's coming up really fast, we are going to have our 60% construction documents set ready for cost estimating. At that point, we'll have our estimates a couple of weeks after that, and at the beginning of July, we'll have a good sense of where we are in the budget for construction. So we have also, in the past month, met with Conservation as well as Board of Health, as well as DCM and the Planning Board, and we can provide a quick update at the end of this presentation. But we're really excited to show you some updated images of the interiors. We're looking at tile patterns and color themes for each floor that really do kind of inform the materials we're using. We also brought some carpet samples. The only carpeted space is going to be the library, so we have some options for that. So I would say at the end of the meeting, perhaps we can all kind of get up because we have some show and tell to do. So with that, Neil is going to walk through some of the options that we've been looking at. We've been working with some of the interiors working group members and had some really good feedback. So we'll start with some of our initial thoughts and then show you some of the options that we've developed. And none of these are set in stone. They're really kind of to foster some discussion and get some opinions. Go ahead, Neil.
So as you recall from our last, I think, SBC meeting, we talked about kind of the idea of the building. Maybe there was a walk in the woods. So the thought was that maybe the first floor might be more of the spring and summer, and the upper floor might be more of the autumn and winter. And so on this floor, we are going to look at the spring and summer. So we have kind of brighter colors. We have some bright blues, some reds, and some oranges. And
actually, I think we talked about flipping them because as we're developing the graphics for our stair that connects the academic spaces from the first to the second floor, we started looking at the progression of fall, starting with the fall because that's when kids come back to school. And then as they progress up the stairs, it's fall, winter, and then spring and summer. So it could really be interchangeable, but in this presentation, I think we're starting with more of the warm colors down on the first floor. So this is one of the options. And we hesitate often to present purple. Purple is one of those colors that folks have really strong opinions about. But the way we're using some of these colors is really to mark the project areas for each grade. So if you imagine, and I know that we've had many discussions with David, while he may not say, okay, first grade, you're gonna be the blue project area, it's still a way to define each project area as an individual as an individual, right? We'll have other ways for wayfinding, but for now, what we're trying to do on each floor is to give each project area its own distinct color. So in this option, it's a red, purple, and orange option. And I'm sorry, Neil.
That's okay.
Keep going.
So the bottom row is the floor accent colors, but the two on the left are really the main colors, those neutral ones. So most of the flooring is going to be kind of neutral. Likewise, on the walls where we have wainscoting and stuff, the tile will mostly be the neutral biscuit color, which is kind of in the middle there, right next to the wood grain image. And then there's a lot of going to be natural red oak in the project. We have wood panels and a lot of wood casework and stuff. So, yeah, we can go to the next slide. So, as Vivian said, each of those three colors on the right are all each defining project areas per grade. So the kindergarten will have one, first grade will have a different one, and second grade will have even a third option. And then where we have the toilet rooms, kind of which is the common space in the academic wing, we're going to kind of bring all the colors together, and we've got a few different options. But this is with the purple, so you'll see kind of the reddish purple and the that orange color coming together, or is it yellow? I think it's a yellow color.
It doesn't. Sorry.
So option 2 is very similar to option 1. We just eliminated the purple and brought in yellow. So again, so one of the classrooms will have a red accent, the other one will have an orange, and then the third one will be kind of a yellow instead of purple. All the rest of the stuff is the same. Be the same neutrals, same wood, and the same kind of biscuit tile for most of the wainscoting. So if you go to the next slide, you kind of see what those kind of, if you mix those three colors together, kind of what it would provide in where we have that accent wall where the toilet rooms are in the middle of the academic wing. And then to the left side there is really what the wainscoting would look like. It's mostly the whitish biscuit color, but there'll be little splashes of the colors kind of mixed throughout, so it's not too institutional. The next one, so why stop at 2 when we can have 3 options? So the third option is, again, we're replacing the purple or yellow. This time we're trying green, so it'll be red, green, and orange. And we can go to the next slide just to kind of see what that looks like. We're still kind of developing it, but we like the idea of kind of mixing them into different patterns at the toilet room walls.
You have a question?
A couple questions, I believe.
Oh, sorry, Jen, go ahead.
Yep. Sorry. Have you looked at these wall colors under color blindness to make sure that the red and the orange are not looking exactly the same?
We have not, but we'll take a look at that. I'm not exactly sure what the range is of
so there's
wavelengths
like
they
green,
can see.
there's different types of color blindness, and green, red, I potentially see some of these looking similar.
Yep, okay,
So just something to consider.
sure. Red, green color blindness.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I reviewed this earlier, I saw the one with the blue-purple first, and I was thinking that we were talking about being more nature-oriented, so the blue-purple didn't really work for me, and I like the green. But I also felt like the one with the yellow looked kind of dull. I don't know, but over there, when I look at on the screen, it looks bright yellow, and on my screen, it looks sort of tan yellow. So it partly depends on what yellow we're talking about, but I would encourage us to lean, I mean, I think if we want to have a nature, I think having the green is nice. I think the yellow is nice. I like blue a lot, but in terms of that, it seemed darker also. And not that I wouldn't want, I like blue. I would love, I like the upstairs blue, but yeah.
So it's, I would just say colors don't really render the same on every screen. That's why we brought samples. I encourage you to look at the samples after we're done, but when we're giving these presentations, it's hard to, the colors look totally different than when you look at the sample.
And they look different to every person's eyes, too.
Right, that's true, so.
I do like the patterns, the tile patterns that you're choosing, I think regardless of the colors. I like that.
Okay, thank you. I guess that's option 2. And then option 3 was it the green. So this is kind of just an overview of the floor pattern. Again, it's mostly going to be the neutral colors. You'll see at each classroom there's kind of a circular, that's where the accent color is. It encompasses 2 doors, both inside and outside. So I thought that was kind of a nice, and also in the corridor there'll be kind of a swirl of the big one is one of the neutral colors, but there's going to be 2 lines that kind of weave through the corridor, kind of like a meandering path of a more intense accent color. Just a little bit to kind of give you a little bit of flavor. So if you go to the next slide, I think we have some pictures of the looking down the corridor.
Zoom out. I need this.
Oops.
Sorry, we're having technical difficulties.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, these are just kind of the views of the project area. So the kindergarten, we were thinking of having the orange, and it would have accents of red. We wanted to add another color to it just to kind of make it pop a little bit. And then at the floor there, it looks yellow, but it's really it's kind of an orange color. It's called marigold. That's around the doors. So when we walk up to the table, you can kind of see the actual material. The next slide, please. This is I guess, the first grade, so it has more of the yellow color as its main accent, so you kind of see the back wall is yellow. And then you can kind of see it streaking through the corridor area there, those kind of orange colors. That's actually, it's called like Asian tiger. It's a really bold kind of orange color that's we have a sample of it, so that kind of ties all the spaces together. And then this one has accents of orange in the ceiling to kind of go with the yellow. So each project area will have 2 colors, one primary color, one secondary color, that kind of bring it together. And then the next slide will be, this is the red option. So it'll be, again, similar to what we talked about. So the main accent wall is going to be this bright red color, and then there'll be accents of orange in the ceiling and on the lights. And the next slide.
Martha?
Before we move on, we were looking at colors on those.
Mm-hmm.
It also struck me that I don't know if you've finalized the location of the partial walls and bookshelves and things, because what I see here looks like it won't prevent a lot of disruption from the hallway. So are these, like on that one, it looks like it fills about half of the open space, and we went and visited a couple of schools, and most of them filled up about 2/3 of the space, which when kids are passing by in the hall, if we're going to use these as instructional areas, I'd be concerned about a lot of distractions. So is this a final vision of the design of the
It's pretty
Additions?
close. I would say maybe some of the ones you've seen had larger project areas that might have 3 classrooms per side. That gives us a little bit more flexibility. Here we're trying to make it so the 2 doors of this classroom that I'm standing in can see the 2 doors of the other classroom, so that we kind of need that open so
But
teachers can
it's
see
open on
across.
the other side of the.
And then we need circulation space on the left. So we can study it a little bit, but I think it's kind of a balancing act. We need to, you don't want to make it like a corral where they can't get out in the corners, but.
Well, and also, if teachers were part of deciding they wanted it this way, that would sway me, but if I were a teacher in one of those classrooms, I would be very concerned, and
Okay.
I'd be putting up borders and boundaries after the new building opened with my poster boards and whatever, because this looks very, very distracting to me.
So we did provide some openings on the side just for circulation, because there are lockers here, and it would just kind of be a traffic jam in there. We could look at closing it up a little bit further. I think what's important is that we keep the connection between where the doors are free and open, right? So for egress, they just have a clear path out. In this case, there is 1 table and grouping of chairs as opposed to 2. So these are slightly different than the project areas that you may have visited, which typically have had 2 tables, because as Neil said, they were groupings of 3 classrooms, so those project areas were larger. So in this case, it's a single. where the tables are located, once the kids are sitting down, they would not be able to see what's going on. Over, correct, because these are about just over 4 feet, 4.5 feet tall. So a teacher, staff member standing could see across and, wave and do some collaboration, but once seated, they'll still be able to hear. It's not meant to be for quiet, closed work. It's for pull-out instruction, or if the teacher decides, let's do a group project where we have a little bit more space to spread out, they can move the table over to the side, and then they have this clear floor area. So
How long is that standalone partition section?
this one here is probably about 6 feet, just a little bit over 6 feet.
I mean,
But it could certainly get a little bit longer. Yeah, we can look at squeezing it down a little bit more, but we do want to keep this clear. So again, we think about when kids are getting ready to go to recess or what have you, and there's coats and everything. I think you want to just be able to give them a little bit more elbow room. Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, next.
Next slide, okay. Yeah, so this is, so the main stair, the stair B, which is kind of connects the second floor of the academic wing down to the first floor, just before you get to the lobby. This is, I think we're going to have a large mural on the walls, and so this is kind of a view from the below. And if you kind of go up to the next slide, there are a couple of views from above. So it's really trying to treat it as kind of the center of the academic wing, so it'll be kind of a nice open space. We're going to add some skylights up at the top of the stair, and then there's this mural we're developing with an environmental graphic artist that currently is showing the seasons going from winter, spring, summer, fall, as you kind of go up the stairs.
We also were trying to show how tile works along the corridor. So along corridors where there's circulation, the tile wainscot is 4 feet high. So that's enough for kids as they're jostling around with their backpacks. They won't destroy the walls. And Bob's folks don't need to paint them every year. And we're still developing the graphics. We also want to show that there is a good amount of tile along the stairs as well that will coordinate with the graphics on the wall.
David has his
Question?
Yeah.
David has his hand up.
Yeah, well, he messaged me.
Oh.
Is he muted?
Sent him a request.
David, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, there it is. Sorry, my mute button was locked. Martha, just to your point about the project areas, that's something that, especially in the last school we looked at, we had reviewed with teachers. And I think in the picture it might look like they are really large spaces, but they are actually smaller entries and exits than they appear.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Just with the tile, I think it's a great idea because, again, it keeps the walls from being scratched and all. But I'm hoping that, not that you want a lot of leftover surplus, but if something gets cracked or chipped or whatever, I would hope that something's left behind to do repairs so that 10 years down the road, you're not having to replace something with a different color or something that doesn't match, because we've all had that happen in our homes. And luckily, we had leftover, piece of flooring or whatever to,
Yes, so we always specify attic stock for the tiles, so there'll be as much as Bob wants to keep.
Store.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as we have storage.
Usually a box or two of each tile's enough, but we can do more if you want more. So this is just another view. Again, we're going to have a lot of glass guardrails, so it'll allow you to see the mural as you're walking by. You won't be obstructed by the handrail.
There's another hand up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. Tara?
Another hand out. Another hand up.
Yep.
Hi, yeah, I was just thinking about that mural. Is there any way to incorporate, I don't know if it's just like a generic nature picture, but incorporate different parts of the town into the mural, like, like a Burlington sign or Simon's Park, things that the kids would recognize, or even like have someone model it off of the woods that are there now, rather than just like a generic nature scene. It might be nice to personalize it to Burlington.
Good idea.
Thanks, Tara. Yeah, I think the starting point for our graphic designer is, for this one, I think was Sawmill Brook. While it may not replicate exactly, I think she's trying to pull elements from it. And we've been also working with Wendy Pavlicek and Sean, and kind of talking about what critters might be appropriate in some of these areas. We don't have it in this presentation, but at the Stair A, which is where the bus drop-off is, we have a map of Burlington. So we'll definitely be locating highlights, right? The conservation land that Martha's talking about, and all these wetland areas. And then we go into the larger New England area. So when we have more of that develop, we'll definitely share it and see how we can incorporate more. There's another graphic at the by the gym, and I think that also has great opportunity to incorporate more from the surrounding areas of Burlington. So we can get to. We don't have any developed graphics. We have some very preliminary graphics for that, but you'll see that there's a good size wall, 2 of them, where we can actually really have a lot of information and have a lot of fun with.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
So moving on up to the second floor. So this is, I guess this is more the summer one.
Yeah, I think
summer and spring.
Yeah.
So again, so a similar concept. So the majority of the flooring surfaces and tiles will be kind of neutral colors, except the accent now that in the floor will be, that runs through the main part of the corridor will be kind of a green color. It's called Green Melody. It's kind of the third one from your left on the bottom. And then each project area will have, again, its own color. So there'll be a blue one, a green one, and then a yellow one. It looks kind of orange on the screen, but it's more yellow. And then, again, lots of wood accent panels where we have paneling.
Yeah, through the chair, thank you. I just want to comment that this is my favorite color palette out of all of the color palettes presented.
It's also mine.
The red really isn't my favorite. The purple is okay, but I think this is really pretty.
Yeah.
And it has a sort of a calming sense, where the red, it's like, it stands out. It's kind of blaring, and it's just not aesthetically pleasing to me personally.
Sure.
But I love this. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Some people believe that reds bring out anger.
Yeah.
I love the red, but I don't like the orange.
One of the options is to use the same palette on both floors, even, but still have the 3 different colors for each project area. So I think we just started talking about that with David, so that's a possibility. We just wanted to show what all of the potential options are, and if it really is difficult coming to grips with purple, red, purple is, I have to say, one of the colors we've never used in a school personally. So there's a reason. People feel very strongly about that color, and red we use, sparingly as well.
Through the chair, I love purple, but I just not in the sense for this school.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be careful to make sure David likes them, but when I look at the new charts, I mean, I've been on the subcommittee meetings looking at these colors with Melissa, so this isn't new to me. Like that yellow is pretty good. It's pretty yellow as opposed to gold or orange. I mean, it's a little gold, but I'd like lemony yellow. But first of all, I think we need to be careful to make sure David likes the colors. And second, I'm surprised that Megan didn't like the red. The red was my favorite of all of them, and the dark blue. But that orange, I just don't like the orange, and you can't get away from it. If it's not on the floor, it's on the ceiling, or it's like, I just don't like the orange. But I'm not going to be there, so none of us probably will be hanging too much in that new school, so I don't think it's what we want, it's what David wants.
I would want to be there.
David has his hand up. I think.
So after this meeting, we're going to send the actual samples back with Melissa, who's going to drop them off to David. So David, you could actually see the real colors, right? And you can actually, what's good is to take them outside so you could see them in daylight, because that's really the best color rendition. And, you know, we'll follow up. It's really, it is your school, David, so we may end up with both floors in this palette. So this is also one of our favorites in that we have no other options for this floor except for this color. So that's good that most of you like this color scheme.
So David, do you want to comment? I think Bob.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm having some tech issues tonight. It won't let me raise my hands. I actually, and I know we just started this conversation towards the end of our meeting on Monday, I actually think that this might fit well for both floors. And it does have the yellow, but it's also the school colors, blue and green. So of the four we've looked at so far, this is probably my favorite. And there's pros and cons to each, but this would probably be the one that I think most would fit in the school on both floors.
Jen?
I remembered that I have the color blindness setting on my computer, so I've been flipping it around. And this one has the most differentiation across all three types of color blindness. So you'll be able to see each of the areas better. The one up top where it was the yellow, orange, red, the yellow-orange kind of get too close, and the kids might not, with color blindness, might not be able to differentiate the difference of those two.
That's a great tool.
Yeah, let's find that tool somewhere. I'm sure it's somewhere.
Thank you.
Martha has one more question.
And I'm not, if people decide they want the same colors on both floors, that's okay. I think there's an advantage to having two different, even if it's like two of the colors are the same and a third one is different, because there is sort of this sense of, where am I? Oh, I'm on the first floor. And color can bring that to people. And some kids may interpret their environment that way. So I would encourage us to keep considering two different colors for the two different floors.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, we could look at variations too of the colors. So maybe it's a darker green and a lighter blue.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We need to go this one, this one,
different
and this
enough,
one.
so, light green and dark green.
Oh, they're
light
over
blue
there.
and dark blue.
Why am I
don't
sitting
know.
here?
Okay.
Now,
So
could add a
are
purple.
there more questions? All right, so this is, again, the floor pattern plan. Again, each classroom will have its own little circle of that accent color, and a little bit of it in the room where you can't be seen from the side light. And then we have the ribbons of, just the green medley kind of winding through the corridor. Kind of that narrow strip there that's kind of yellow colored right now. I think it's actually a green, but.
Yeah, it is kind of like a meandering path.
Yep. Okay, and the next slide, I guess. So this one has the blue accent on the back wall, so both the end walls will be blue, and then they'll be mostly blue in the ceiling, like at the edge of that shaped ceiling, and the main lights in the middle, that you can see down the corridor, will also have blue edges, and then those drywall cylinders above the table will have a green accent.
Oops, sorry,
And then-
I thought I was better.
You can go to the next one, it's okay. Okay, similarly, so when you have the green accent wall, we're showing an orange accent, or that's kind of a yellowy orange, isn't it? And then the main lights in the middle of the floor are green. And then the third color was the yellow, so we'd have blue accents in the ceiling. And all the colors, this one I think is goldenrod, the paint color, so it's kind of a...
Is there any green in that one?
No.
No.
One before it.
We were showing just two colors for each project area. I think that's what we talked about yesterday, but
I see,
we're open to
I like green.
like green, okay.
There it is.
So I have a question. I just sort of looked real quick at the samples.
Yep.
We were talking about how purple is like difficult, and yet David had really liked the purple. The purple that's on the table there, is that a true color option? Because that is really pretty.
The floor, the
one that we're
yes,
talking
Floor or the
yeah,
paint?
That,
Well, I don't know what they are, but
I
the
think
one
it's
just to the right of the
floor.
orange.
Yeah, that's the floor. So in reality, they look so different than how
Almost-
they're seen on the screen. So
Yeah, that
different.
purple one,
Isn't it a beautiful color?
You should make sure David sees
I'll bring
that.
it. I told him.
It's a really nice, it really is a nice
And
purple.
if we would have changed one color from the top floor to the bottom floor, what if we swapped the blue and the purple
Yeah.
Yeah,
and just put the
we could, when we
purple,
get,
green, and yellow on the bottom, on the lower floor?
when we get to the table, we could actually put the samples together to see
Yes.
if we like those combinations.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's so hard to see the purple in the pictures because it just
Definitely.
looked gray. It looked dingy, but that's a very pretty color.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it's hard to make them look like they will in real life. So this is the final one, the yellow. And then kind of looking down the corridor, so you can kind of see that light green wavy stripe. So we're going to have a few kind of, it's like a meandering path as you walk down the academic corridor. And then each of the project areas will have kind of a wood, dark stained portal as you kind of enter into the project area. And as you exit, there's another portal. So we thought that was kind of important to kind of define the space. So, you know, you feel like you're in your third grade or second grade area. On the next slide.
Through the chair, I also want to remind us that there's some best practices for children with low vision, and I believe it's a strong contrast at the floor if kids are using canes, black and white, dark and light. So to please, I don't know exactly, I mean, I've mostly, when I worked at Perkins School for the Blind, they had black strips, you know, at the bottom of every wall, and a light-colored floor, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the only way to do it, but if you could, I think it'd be important to include, that makes it more accessible for kids with low vision or vision impairment.
Okay. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you. Okay, then the community wing was really an opportunity to kind of combine all the colors together, whatever they end up being. So again, it'll be mostly the neutral colors in the bottom left, those two, and then we'll have a couple of accent stripes of the Asian tiger, which is that orangish color to the right of it, and then the green melody, which is right north of it. So those are kind of the accent strips that kind of run through the corridor in plan. And then we're just going to kind of have little mixes of the accent floor colors throughout the community wing on both floors. And likewise, the tiles will also be kind of mixed a bit. The next slide, please. And so this is just, we wanted to identify where the elevator lobby is. So the elevator core, we're going to use a very dark blue with like kind of white stripe, white dashes on it, just to kind of make it identifiable. And then we have a stair that's right next to it, so it'll have more of the kind of white biscuit tile with little accents of the colors from the first floor academic wing in it. And then the next slide, so this is kind of a view of when you enter the building, enter the front door, the left side is the elevator lobby, so you get that strong color of the blue, with obviously some wood panels. We have a big screen there in the front. Also, we're going to have a tack surface where David might pin up about the teachers or students of the week or whatever on the left. And as you walk straight down, there'll be, on the floor, you can kind of see we're mixing up some of the colors in the floor. And then the walls, we're going to have some wood panels, and also we're going to bring in some of that phenolic from the outside on the right side. And then there's going to be a large welcome sign in multiple languages, just to between the stair and that corridor out to the outdoor learning. And then the next slide. You have a question?
And again, this is totally up to, I guess, the principal of the school, but I would think that, again, Fox Hill, to me, like, is green, right? So why not make this more green than blue? If it's, the lobby area, it's kind of the school color. Mr. Rosenblatt wants to.
Green and blue.
Yeah, but it looks, the focus is blue. This is, you see blue dominates.
We'll look at the next page, I guess.
We can make it green.
Well, it's a gym,
Yeah.
going to the gym.
We have some nice green tiles.
we like
We
green.
can definitely, yeah.
We're easy.
It's not up to me. I've just thought, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Has it always been green at Fox Hill?
It's both.
It's always been green.
Green and blue.
Maybe you could
That I recall.
combine them a little. I don't know, I don't like that blue at all, I just think it's ugly.
Oh, I like that blue.
But you have to
don't
look at
dislike
the
the blue.
actual tile.
What?
So we'll look at the actual tile.
Yeah.
Tile's
We
nice,
have
but,
that, yeah.
but we can look at it, maybe it's a blend of colors. And then, so I think we talked a little bit about this, maybe the last meeting, but on Stair D, previously we had just a ramp and an isolated stair to the right. So we looked at trying to convert that into something that's a little bit more usable, so we're calling it a learning stair, or that's what people generally call it. It's essentially a very large stair where the steps are big on the right side. They're like 14 inches high, so it's kind of like a little amphitheater. It's big enough to hold one grade, roughly. And then it's also a stair where you see kind of the gray steps going up. It'll also be Stair D, so you can exit from the second floor to the gym. We thought it was a much better use of the space, and it kind of opens up that space a lot more. And as you'll see, we have a very large monitor on the gym wall. I'm going to kind of click to the next slide. This is kind of looking a view up to the ramp towards the music rooms. Your gymnasium's on the right. There's a door, if you just off the picture to the far right, where you can exit to the front of the building. And then the next slide. So yeah, so view from the top, you can kind of see there'll be a nice large monitor. It'd be a great teaching space. And we've kind of designed it so acoustically it'll we're going to put a lot of acoustical panels and acoustical ceiling, so it'll behave properly as a teaching space. And it'll also give you nice direct access up to that outdoor learning space on the roof, which I think is going to be a great asset.
Where's the access for that?
So you see the stair to the right side?
Yeah,
There's a door right in front. That goes right to the outside.
before you get to the gym, to the right, okay. Is
Yeah,
that what you mean?
up above on the second floor.
Up here? Oh, that is where the outdoor, okay, got it.
Okay, and the next slide. Oh, just kind of a recap of the library. I believe we've shown you most of these before, but we have some carpets today, so we wanted to kind of remind you of the design of it. It has, again, a lot of wood in the library and a lot of windows.
Green.
There is some green and a little bit of blue in there, but we're still deciding on the carpet, so don't take the carpet too literally. We have samples here. We'd like to get you some feedback on it. And
That is pretty much it.
that's pretty much it. And this is kind of a recap of the meetings we've had. We've met with Planning Board last week, Board of Health last week, Conservation Commission the week before, DCM meeting the week before as well, and Conservation back in March or April.
Yeah. Could you give us a very brief recap of your meetings with Conservation and the Board of Health and the Planning Board?
Sure. I would say, okay, so Conservation, we met with them on the 24th, and we got about halfway through our meeting, and they wanted to continue us because of a full schedule. They were very focused on the trees we were putting in the buffer zone, so we've got direction from them, and we've actually changed our planting plan to kind of use species that are maybe more appropriate for this particular buffers. So they're going to be more like white swamp oaks and eastern red cedars that we're going to be putting in the buffer zone, which is kind of between 50 feet and 20 feet of the wetlands to the north of the school. So that was the big major major concern they had. We presented the stormwater at the second meeting with them, and they were concerned about the systems we were using, but I think they were okay with them at the end of the day. We're using a little bit deeper system to the north of the school because we have less footprint for the stormwater infiltration system. And all three of our stormwater systems, we have one for the roof of the building, which will be the north of the building, kind of in the loading area, that will discharge directly north if there's an overflow in an event where there's a very heavy storm. And then for the parking lot, there'll be a larger subsurface system that's shallower, and that one, in the event of a very large storm, will also discharge to the north into the wetlands. And all these were designed to maintain the existing flow and rate of water that goes to those wetlands right now. So they've met all of the town bylaws and the state stormwater requirements.
So they didn't really have much to add after we presented the updated planting plan. Basically, we continued it because we had planning board the following week, not knowing whether there would be any changes requested by planning board. So we plan to go back to conservation middle of June. Hopefully then they'll be able to close and have a set of draft conditions. So we will definitely keep you updated with regard to that.
And then the Board of Health we met with, and they had some concerns mostly about the soil that we're bringing onto site. They want to be sure that we share with them the test results for all the soils, and they wanted us to share with them our specifications for what we allow for structural fill and under sidewalks and all that kind of all the different kinds of fill we allow on site.
All the material that we will be bringing in to build the.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be sharing that with them as we develop the specs, and we'll probably have something ready by the end of June to share with them. And they've already drafted, they had a draft order of conditions for us, but I think they're still working on the details of it exactly. But other than that, they didn't want to see us again, more or less. So that's a good thing.
They're pretty much, yeah, until we go back for the kitchen permitting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then planning, we met with last Thursday, and they were very positive about pretty much everything. We did a very thorough submission and put together nice little binders of all the key points. And I'm trying to think of what their main.
They did ask about lighting the field, the fields, and that was we. Thank you, Ms. Priest, for being there to remind us all the concerns about lighting the fields, the vernal pool. There were also a couple of neighbors. One person did indicate that, during our planning discussions, and, definitely with this group, it was discussed that we would not light the field. So that was kind of the message. I don't think they had anything else. We do need to make sure we find the time capsules that are buried somewhere. They did ask if we would also clean up some of the wetland buffer areas that are currently, I think there's a lot of debris, some old equipment. What we're not certain of is whether that stuff is on our side of the town line or whether it's Wilmington, because, as you kind of get in there, it blurs a little bit. So we'll need to look into that. I think that they are generally pretty pleased. The process really required a lot of town agency reviews, so we have comments from engineering, comments, again, from Board of Health had to weigh in before Planning Board would close the hearing. So police and fire, pretty much everyone, there's a really long list of folks, and the planning department's been great. They've been helping us kind of make sure that everybody's been able to provide their comments so that we can basically wrap up, hopefully, at the next meeting. So we will keep you abreast of that. Yep. I do want to bring up one thing that came up at Conservation, and that's something that we'll probably need to follow up with you on, Bob, is one of the conditions is that we will need to clean up the invasives in the buffer zone, and they want us to be able to maintain that. Invasives are hard. There's a reason they're called invasives, because you can cut them You can try to treat them, but they just keep coming back. So during construction, we're going to have, as part of the specs, that the contractor maintains that and kind of manages it, but I think that the conditions the Conservation Commission's going to come up with will require some sort of ongoing maintenance of some sort of the invasive. So we'll chat some more.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's a big concern.
Yeah.
I was actually going to compliment your team, but now I'm reluctant to do so. So I've actually attended planning board meetings as well as Ms. Priest did as well, and they were very complimentary of the work and the binders that this team had put forward. And I think they probably said it 3 times during the meeting, and then right before we got off, made sure to mention it again as kind of the standard they expect to see on other building projects moving forward. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that.
Sorry.
It took a lot of strength, but
Taking it back.
All right, I think that wraps up our part of it.
Okay.
Okay. This isn't quite as fun as looking at colors, but next up, we are going to start looking to pre-qualify the general contractor that will be helping with this project and the filed sub-trades. And thank you. We'd like to start kicking off this process quite soon, actually, so we can have it all wrapped up before we go out to bid. And what this means is we have a pre-qualification committee that the MSBA requires us to have, and it includes members from the design team, the OPM, and a couple members from the owner side. And we will work together to draft an RFQ, and then we would bring that draft to the SBC, and right here on the schedule, we've coordinated that with the June SBC meeting, so everybody would have a chance to review it and vote to approve. That will move on to be posted to the Central Register, made available to the public, and then we would gather all that information that comes in. And basically at that point is when we would bring the members of the committee together. We would go over the qualifications, we would do the reference checks, we would combine all that information into our documents, wrap it up, and kick it back to you guys to review for that is the September SBC meeting. So that's kind of how pre-qualification works and the general timeline. What that does mean, in a couple slides, I'm gonna ask to see if we could possibly pick some tributes tonight, if you guys feel like anybody is ready to volunteer. Time commitment for that is July. So if you are wheels up out of town in July, I don't recommend this is a role for you to volunteer for. It's maybe a couple hours a week throughout that month is when we'd be looking to have a couple check-in meetings, a couple of review meetings to wrap up the documents to present in September.
Martha has a question.
Just wondering, you specified that it would be advertised in the Central Register post. Is that the same as combis?
It's different.
And we missed the combis on something a couple of years ago, so is this something that doesn't need a combis because it's not an object? Is that a whole different register?
I believe the request for qualification, pre-qual is just in the Central Register, but I will confirm.
Yeah, we got, I will refrain from the word I was going to choose, but we got in trouble for that last time.
It was the bus contract?
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a contract also, so I don't know, different services are
Yeah,
different.
this is just
But if you could just double check and
Yes.
make sure it's going to be posted everywhere, so we don't have to go back and do it again.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
So this is just for you guys to take a look at. This is a draft scoring matrix, and this can be tailored to the town of Burlington once we start drafting up our RFQ. The points can be slightly adjusted depending on the needs of the project, but this is typical of the scoring. Just wanted to put this up here if anybody has any questions.
Do I have any hands online?
I'm not seeing any right here.
Okay. And then I just pulled the language as essentially, we need this committee put together so we can have kind of a representative from each party taking a look at all these qualifications to make sure that everyone's given a fair chance. And if, we do have 2 members of this committee that would be willing to volunteer, we can vote on this motion today. We can carry it on to the next meeting if that isn't the case, but we would like to get this process going to give us as much time as possible to make sure everybody is fully vetted and fully pre-qualified to stay on our project timeline.
So we need 2 owner reps?
Yes.
Anyone? Any hands
Anybody online, if you're interested or have any questions?
Jump at the chance.
Yeah.
Does Nicole need to be one of them?
That's what I was going to ask.
I don't want to volunteer her. Oh, Nicole's got her hand up.
That was going to be one of my questions if I was required to be on it. I'm around in July and I'm able to participate.
Sold.
Okay.
Okay, we got 1.
Okay, thank you, Nicole.
Steve. Are you volunteering for the Doran Whittier
First of all, I want to apologize. I couldn't be there in person. I was double booked. My apologies. But I do not believe that per statute, Paul is required to be on the committee, but the national PO and chief procurement for the town, or at least for the school. So it's a natural fit, but doesn't have to be. But we would certainly keep you, Nicole, involved in the process. You know where we're at. We're meeting statutory requirements. Just keep you generally apprised of the process in case anybody asks a question. But you're welcome to join us. You don't have to. We'd be happy to have you as part of our group. And while the central register and combis are separate kind of posting repositories, we are required to post to both. In addition to an ad in a local paper that runs at least 2 weeks before the deadline of the qualifications that are due. So just wanted to clarify that real quick.
Melissa, this is Eric. I'll do it.
Okay. I'm happy to be an alternate. I can be available virtually in July if needed.
Okay, great. So if you guys...
Melissa, did you get my comment?
Yep, I did.
All right. I'm having trouble with my mute.
Yeah, no worries. You and Nicole win.
No, two is...
All right. Do you want to make the motion?
Short straws.
Yeah.
Even though I want to so much.
We can add as many as we can all.
Full already? Oh, come on.
Make a motion to
Yeah.
accept.
Yeah, you waited till it was all full until you said that.
Oh.
So, and is Steve the 4th person?
Yeah, we'll put Vivian and Steve.
Vivian, okay, and Vivian, okay.
All right. So I make a motion to approve the following members as the trade, subcontractor, and general contractor pre-qualification committee. Dr. Conti, Nicole Kasha,
Yep. Vivian.
and is it Steve? Was it
Vivian.
Steve?
Please, yep.
Steve.
And then who's the 4th one?
Vivian.
Vivian.
Second.
Awesome. Questions? Anyone want to? Steve, is your hand just still up? I know he's probably in the car.
Nope, it's not. And I
Okay.
apologize if
No
my
worries.
coverage has been.
That's okay.
Went through a bad note.
All right. Ms. Bond.
Yes.
Ms. Monaco.
Aye. Yes.
Ms. Wojcik. Mr.
Yes.
Wojcik, sorry. Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Dr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Kasha.
Yes.
Mr. Kuna.
Yes.
Mr. Denizio. Is him?
Stepped away.
Okay. Mr. Rosenblatt.
Yeah.
Mr. Villano.
Yes.
Ms. Priest.
Aye.
I'm a yes, so that's 11-0. thank you.
Great,
Thank you, Nicole and Dr. Conti.
We promise we will make it very easy on the tributes here.
I mean, if snacks are going to be provided at the meeting, I could be here.
I have one brief topic just to cover. It's written here, but the Dorn Whittier team is going to look at if we need to replace Paul Sagarino or if John Denizio can just take the role that he had.
Oh, I heard back yesterday.
Oh, okay. So
It's fine.
Then you're going to give an update.
Yep,
Okay.
so John, if you're here, I have something for you to sign, which we can do electronically.
Okay.
Yep, he's going to be in a dual role, so.
Okay, so we'll let him know that.
Yes.
All right, so there we go.
Martha has her hand up.
Yes.
I also would request that we have an update on the kitchen issues and the composting and the reusable trays and things. If we could have an update on that at the next meeting, if we're at that stage. If nothing's happened, that's fine, but I just want to keep an eye on that.
I think we're waiting for, it's your decision, or it's the school committee, right? So right now, the kitchen is designed to accommodate a tray wash. So before we go out to bid, it would be great to know if we should include that in the equipment.
We should include
But other than that, I think we're okay for now.
So we have till when is the bid going out to bid?
We are going out to bid end of November.
Okay.
So ideally, we'll have a few weeks to get our documents coordinated. So if in the next, I would say 2 to 3 months, 2 months, that would be great.
Yeah. All right, I don't have any other topics. Is Dorn Whittier?
Nope.
Okay. A motion, any public online? I saw a guest earlier, but I
Just, yeah.
think it might have been David's phone. Okay, motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.